in keeping our young people together, that we grow the Sunday school, because the teaching of Jesus through the gospel matters in the hearts and lives of our young people. We connect with our leaders, our district and chief apostle. We remember all God's servants, dear Lord. We know that they pray for us daily. And then while we are here and while we are joyful, there are so many laying loved ones to rest. And Father, we think about them because we love our neighbors sincerely. Now, dear Lord, bless the presenters, bless the interaction that will take place, and may we all draw something out of today that will benefit our young children. We ask this all in Jesus' name. Amen. Please be seated. So, dear teachers, we are looking forward to this very short engagement. We know that it will bear fruit into the future, and as I've prayed, that it benefits our children. You play such a big and important role in the life of the Sunday school children. You are the ones that convey the gospel, messages of salvation to the children. And it is always our desire that the way you do it, the heart that you put into the teaching can touch them. I thought much about Jesus. I think we are all very familiar with his engagement with the children. And it says he blessed them, he embraced them, he loved them and their parents. And then when Jesus left that gathering, there was a young man that ran after Jesus and he said, "Good teacher, how do I inherit the kingdom of God?" And that is what we want for our Sunday school children. That when you place the teaching in them, they always want more. I've been known to say, when I have a meal and it tastes real good, then I would say, this meal tastes like more. And that is what we want our children, that every lesson has a lasting impact on their lives. So today, I will not do any spiritual portion. You've come here for some training. And our district apostle has sent his best wishes, and he assures you that he remembers you, and he looks forward to, I think it is Monday, the 12th of February, when he will gather with teachers for an audiovisual meeting across the district apostle area. And that meeting will be mainly spiritual, so we do not want to go down a speak spiritual serving. If you want to, we can do it at 12 o'clock when we're done. I can keep you here until about 5 o'clock. That's no problem. So we have a agenda for today. I want us to just work through it. The first is the opening and welcome, which is now concluded. Then, dear teachers, while today is largely technical, we also wanted to just add a little bit of a taste tester for soft skills, the other side of teaching, the connection with children, the ability to look into their hearts and touch them in a special way. So we have a member of our church that works for the Department of Education. She's going to touch on the power of soft skills. And I just want to say that is net a nutma, it's just a taste test about some future training that we have planned. So Sister Lucille Peterson, she is here and she's going to speak to us just for 20 minutes or so about the power of soft skills. Then we're going to go into the bulk of today, which the Deacon Ruben Skippers is going to take us through. It will be a facilitated session, so it's not going to be a speaker speaking to you. We're going to break up in groups, and in essence, we want to be ready for the lesson tomorrow when our children come for the first time in the year 2025. There will be a break, and then at about 12 o'clock, we will conclude with some closing remarks. Maybe if there is some time, we'll touch on the principles of Sunday school and just some further encouragement. So that is our session for today. You may ask, but why do we have all the groups together today? You know that Sunday School 1 to 4 received a new syllabus. And we've had some extensive training in that regard. Today in the audience, there will also be some new teachers that may be exposed to this curriculum for the very first time. That is great. But internationally, there is a plan to have a new RI syllabus and a new confirmation syllabus, and definitely, possibly in the year 2026, we'll roll out a new pre-Sunday school syllabus. But we thought, why wait till then? The Sunday School 1 to 4 has a lovely syllabus, simple method, and we want to expand that to ARA and confirmation so that some of the methodology you can use in those lessons already today. We do not need to wait because it's all about impact, and we want the lessons to have an impact on the young children. So that is my part for today. Thank you so much for listening to me. I will be back a little bit later. So without any further delay, I'm going to hand over to Sister Lucille Peterson that will just shortly touch on the power of soft skills. So she's very nervous. So maybe here in Windsor Park, can I ask you to give her a huge round of applause to settle?
Good morning, teachers. How are you doing today? Are you good? I see a mix of senior teachers, more experienced teachers, and younger teachers. So it's lovely because you senior teachers need to hand over the batch or the baton, sorry, at one stage, and then we have teachers to follow in our. So today is all about soft skills, and it's nothing new. You've been doing it all your lives, but I would just like a refresher. So this is the agenda for today. As you can see, what are soft skills and examples? Communication, building trust and connection, conflict resolution, patience, inspire through leadership, collaboration, observation and interaction, communication with parents and guardians. And you've been doing this all along. As a Sunday school teacher, you regularly have meetings with parents and you know how to deal with parents. So what are soft skills? Personal attributes that enable effective interaction. And also they are vital for Sunday school teachers working with Sunday school children. How do you work with these children in the classroom? It's important that we work from the heart because we are working with God's children and we need to guide our children. We want them to come back every Sunday school. We don't want to alienate. We work with love, we guide them, we are gentle with them, and they know that they can trust us as the teachers in the classroom. So examples include, as I said now, there you can see the building trust and connection. Empathy. That is something that things that we can work on. And then also patience, like I said, communication. So communication is key. Do you agree with me, teachers? Communication is key because you need to communicate with the child on his level. Who can take a guess? How many words must a grade 1 child know when they come to school for the first time? Anyone? Any guesses? 100, 20,000 words. So when a child comes to school, they must have 20,000 words in their vocabulary already. But we see that most of the children that come to school, they have about 5,000 words. And some have 10,000 and others have. But a lot of children coming into school, they only have 5,000 words. So when we plan our lessons, we must make sure that it is age appropriate on the child's level, that the child can understand. And children are functioning on different ability levels. And you've seen it. When a child comes into the classroom, you speak to your children, you tell the story, you relate. Children, some will grasp quickly, others will struggle. So you as a teacher must ensure that you guide the child, break the lesson in smaller chunks so that they can grasp. And another thing, after the lesson, you need to ask questions so that you can see, did my children get the lesson today, or need I do some more next week? So it's not a once-off fit all. Some children, like I said, they are high functioning, others are a bit lower functioning. So you need to make sure that they understand. And you ask questions. So when you do your preparation, which is very important, you make sure that you include questions. I know there are questions in the book, the new syllabus, but you can also have extra questions. You can also engage the learners in their learning by asking them to ask questions, as not to have teachers standing in front and the child listening. I'm sure that if I speak now for 2 hours, and you will be tired. So you need to make sure that the children understand, because you are teaching at the appropriate level with the necessary vocabulary the children can understand. Is it move? Oh, so it's not moving here. Sorry. Okay, so building trust and connection. You as a Sunday school teacher, you need to make sure that the child feel that they belong to the classroom, that they feel welcome, not excluding anyone in the class. So when you have to listen, you have those children that will answer the questions easily, put up their hands, ma'am, ma'am, ma'am. But what about the children that sit quiet? Give them also a chance. I don't know how many children are in your Sunday school, but normally 10, 5, is there anyone that has 20 maybe? So it's 5 or 10, 30. That's the amount. So you need to make sure that you hold the children. Child trust your teacher, they answer question. And say, no, but that is wrong. Don't you know? But I just told you now. The lesson was just now. I'll say, think again. Teacher will sure. Okay? Think teacher will someone else get back to you. You guide them in a loving way. Because this is not Yale school where you have to get through the curriculum and children need to write exams and assessments at the end of the term. This is work in the curriculum. So you know you have enough time. And also, very important, you must bring in your own experience into your classroom. Children must see that you're also fun. You're not just strict. Teacher can also make a joke. It's fun in class. We laugh and then we serious again. There must be a routine. They must know. When after church, all must gather maybe in front. Then there's an opening prayer, and then you send to your classes, and now teacher is there to get you there, or maybe in front, wherever, and teacher greets you. Teacher asks, how were you? How was your week? What did you do? Oh, it's my, oh, let's sing for Sarah. It was a birth. She feels special, but you also have the list with the dates of birth. So you maybe have a little crown, something expensive. Show the child that child is in class and teacher knows. So the connection is child trust teacher, child love his teacher. Because we are role models to children. We need to emulate, show understanding, empathy. Kindness is very important attributes. Conflict. So sometimes conflict, especially the ones, the smaller ones, very easy. Sunday school 1 to 4, very easy. RI1 to confirmation, they might be conflict. So we need to tell them how to deal with the conflict. First thing, must be a good listener. Make sure that you listen, because we need to resolve this conflict. the problem. So we need to solve the problem. So how do we solve this problem? We need to speak to each other, even in your own life, outside of church. How do you deal with conflict? You know, if both of you are angry, the conflict won't be resolved. So you need to listen attentive and then decide, this is the situation and this is how I deal. Let's listen. Conflict. What is the problem? Oh, this was the deal with the conflict. And we must have a forgiving heart. Jesus forgave all of us. So we must have and we must model that to our children, learners. Children, model is important. They don't listen to what we're saying. They do to be action speed, out and word. And so we encourage harmony so that if it's happy to be there, one said, no, in the real school, our children are being bullied at school. And our children don't want to come to school any longer because they're scared. They get hurt. But in Sunday school, we resolve the conflict and children must be happy. They must want to come to Sunday school and not say, no, I don't feel like Sunday school. Because if you prepare well teachers who are not going to stand with a book in front of you and read the story, you need to make eye contact with children. You need to know the story by heart. And you tell them and you ask the questions. They see my teacher is well prepared today. And if you have activities and you know your class, you know the circumstances. There are children comes from single parent households that unemployment and. So you know your children. So if you have activities for the day and you know there's going to be cutting and pasting, coloring in, whatever the case, you make sure that you also bring something along. Because what is going to happen? You have planned activities and now there's cutting and pasting and no one has scissors or print or whatever. So then your lesson will fall flat. So make sure that you are prepared for the inevitable. Patience. Teachers, do you have patience? Patience is a virtue and it's difficult, eh? What happened on a Monday morning when you're late and you're driving? The taxi cut in front. Do you show patience? Oh, it's late. Oh, let him come in front of me. It's late. Oh, I understand. This person needed work for me. So, how do we show our children that patience? If a child is naughty in class, do we lose our cool? Do we feel frustrated? Oh, this child is working on my nerves. This child is. No, show patience. My darling, Sarah, Jason, whoever, come to sit in front of teacher. You have the focus of the child. Because you are being the child. You're not angry with him. Or, Sarah, take the flashcards and keep up the poster for teacher. Especially boys, girls are not as much naughty in class. It's more the boys. Do you agree? So then you have your poster and Jason is keeping the poster, he's keeping him out of mischief. So now the lesson can carry on. And you don't have to worry. A word. Inspire through leadership. Teachers, we are the leaders in the church. Some of us are the leaders in our communities. And we are also leaders in our household. Do you agree with me? Yes. And we need to model behavior to our learners. And sometimes the learners stay in the same vicinity as you, maybe in the same road, maybe next to you. So now you are now not practicing what you're preaching. You are telling them in class, I'm a role model. You must listen to teacher. This is how you must do, what you must do. This is the actions. You must show empathy, you must show love. You must show kindness. A teacher and the neighbor are at loggerheads. But the child knows because maybe it's the child's mother. So now we must be really careful, teachers. Because action speaks louder than words. And as I said, children are emulating what they see, not what you are telling them. So you are the leader, you need to inspire them. Collaboration. Collaboration is important. You have children at home and you need to collaborate with the school. Is that right? With the teacher. And you know how your children are. If the teacher, especially the smaller one, teacher said this, they cry. Mommy, my teacher said I must bring a 50 rand tomorrow to school. Mommy, I must have this. I must have that. And they won't leave house before you give it to them. So the collaboration teaches parents and children. If the parent has a problem or the child, sorry, has a problem, it's important that you as teacher, you need to know about that, but it's very confidential, teachers. So whatever is divulged to you as a teacher, very, very confidentially, you need to speak to your coordinator and they will take it from there. You don't take matters into your own hands. Teamwork class activities. As I said, children work in different ability groups. So you make sure that you have groups in your class and you stagger them. You make sure that children that are struggling, they maybe color in, and then you have the others get right answers like words, and the others must do research. So that you cater for each learning style. And also, if you have your lesson and you're busy with your lesson and something happens, you must be able to adapt immediately and say, oh, this is not working. I'm losing the focus of the children. Wait, let me try this now. So on the spur of that moment, you adapt immediately and you get the child's focus back. And you must tell the children, this is not only happening here that you work in teams, you work in teams at school as well. Because there you have projects that you have to work in teams. So you work in class, in Sunday school class, as well as outside. And one day when you get to university and colleges, you must also do teamwork. And I used to hate teamwork actually, because then it seems like no one was actually working. I was the only one because I wanted high marks. And now some children didn't do their best. And then I told the teacher, I want to work alone. And she said, no, you can't. You need to work in a team because you need to learn how to work with others. So that is so important as well. Observation and interaction. Teachers, you must have a little diary with you on a Sunday where you, for example, now jot down things that you see in class. If you, for example, while you're busy with the lesson, you see that Peter is falling asleep in class. And now you make your little thing and you observe. Next week, the child is tired then. So now this is a worry. So now you need to speak to your coordinator that I've noticed this now. So what can we do? Okay, let's arrange a meeting with the parent. Ask the parent, we've noticed that. Is it a problem? Is it a medical condition? Maybe a heart condition? What is the problem? This child is falling asleep. He can't keep his eyes open in class. Now you speak to the teacher, but you use the sandwich approach to speak to the parent. You can't bombard the parent and say, don't you have rules in your household? I've noticed a child is falling asleep. What is going on in your house? No. You say, this is a lovely boy. And I know that he's really trying to focus, but most of the time he's fast asleep. Can you perhaps tell me what is happening? Now the parent might say too much screen time, playing games on a Saturday evening, watching TV, whatever. So now you recommend, so you don't force your opinion on the parent. You say, I think that this Jason must go to bed at 8. That could help, because then he would have a good night's rest. He will be able to focus and he will be able to know what is happening in class. And then you say, thank you so much. I know that you have rules in your house. It's just sometimes when the child goes to his own bedroom that you think he's asleep and he's still busy playing on his PlayStation or whatever game. So the sandwich approach is important. We work with love and with our parents, as not to force our opinion onto parents and make them angry. Right, and behavior, like I said, if a child is fidgeting too much, not focused, that could also have a meeting with the parent, and maybe that could be other signs we don't know. So we're not medical doctors, we can't diagnose, we need to ask the parent, and the parent will explain. And if it's a confidential issue, we know that it's confidential and we don't share. Communicate with parents, guardians, like I said. So you discuss your observations and you always praise the learners in class. They do something well. And stickers, foundation phase grade RR2, 4 or 3, they love stickers. positive reinforcement. Maybe you have a rewards chart where you have it up in class and say, if you have 10 stickers, then you will have a chance to do this and that, but not like buying things. We don't want you to bribe children. It must be something that I could do in class. They could take the lesson, not take the lesson, but they could explain something today. And insights, and like I said, you adapt your teaching methods as you go along. And by the middle of the year, you will feel comfortable. You will know your children and you will know what works and what does not work. The power of soft skills. So soft skills empower teachers to inspire, connect, and lead effectively. Invest in developing these skills for a more impactful teaching Sunday school journey. So you have the power in your hand as teachers. It depends on what you do, that power. So the Bible put Titus 2, verse 7 to 8, in everything set them an example by doing what is good. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned. In closure, thank you, teachers, for listening to me attentively. I wish you all the best for the year, and I hope that you will, you will enjoy Sunday school. That's important, and make Sunday school fun. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Sister Peterson. And I think we probably heard a virtual applause happening also in the other congregation that's connected. So I can see you'll see the virtual applauses and the emojis coming through. So good morning, everyone here in Windsor Park. And may I say in the connected congregations, I won't always say those things, but in the connected areas as well, I think just a special welcome again, part of the lesson preparation. So now we're jumping into that part where we're going to be talking and going through, and I think the apostle touched on that it will be interactive, right? So as much as we feel like we are sitting wherever we are, I think it's important to know that we are going to be talking to each other as well. So we're not only going to be listening on one side, but I want to just quickly go through the messages I left this morning on the session, at the start of the session, is that we've disabled the chat for those that are online, we've disabled the cameras, and we've disabled the microphones. To explain why, so we have 4,606 registered for this session. Okay, so that's the first thing. So as the apostle touched on it, it's the first time ever that we're having this. So there's over 4,600 connected today. So that's the one thing. We have, as you will see, some of you will see that we have about 583 connected. That is not 583 individuals. That from that 583, there's probably about 300 to 400 that is actually congregations that we tested with them yesterday, where there's a group, where there's districts like here. So here in Windsor Park, we're looking at about 120, I would say, to 150. And so we're having similar like this in different areas. So you can imagine what's taking place, and everyone is also there. And unfortunately for them, it's not taken live in terms of the individual that's presenting. But for you, I think you're in Windsor Park, and I can use Windsor Park as VP, right? That's the initials, it's WP. VP Oleka Ding is here. So we know that Windsor Park is here. But for others obviously connected, we want to also say that we don't want to lose sight of you, even though we can't see you. We want you to feel you're still connected. So I'm going to ask that if there's any urgent things that needs to come through, you can use the Q&A, or you can contact your apostle area coordinator and they can send a WhatsApp through to us. What we are doing is, and we're making sure that the sound is being distributed and the video to everyone. So we are keeping an eye on that. If anything drops, we will know actually before you tell us. So we know exactly what is happening, so that where you are connected, you will know that we will know as well. Okay, so we will try to improve things as we go on. And of course, understand wherever you're based in the country and countries. So there's Botswana, there's Namibia, also linked to this session. They also have venues and they also registered to be part of the session. And then of course, all the other apostle areas within South Africa. So wherever you're based, please first check your own connections, check your own sound, check your own connectivity, that is first working before you contact us with anything else. Because if we have a drop in anything, we will let everyone know the problem sits with us. Okay, we will let you know. But until then, please first do your own troubleshooting wherever you are. I think we spoke about or mentioned here that the react options is available. So we would love to see the emojis coming through, the thumbs up. Act surprised if you hear something you never heard, just put on the emoji of being surprised. Do things that's there that you can interact. If you're going to raise your hand, unfortunately, we are not going to respond or ask you or to unmute you so that you can ask your question. Please use the Q&A. Please use the WhatsApp group via the Apostle Area Coordinators. That's the way we want to communicate for the session because of the numbers. And I think we can understand because of the numbers, imagine we have to respond to everyone or everyone has a question. So some of the questions might or can be answered by your Apostle Area Coordinators before even we can answer it. So I think that's just important for everyone. We would love to see everyone, and I want to emphasize that. We would love to see everyone. Maybe if we have time at the end, we will start. We have some venues that we know where there are big groups connected. We maybe are able to share and like open up their cameras so that we can see them, but we'll let you know so that you can get ready for the camera shoot. But if that happens, we will definitely let you know. But for now, it will feel as if it's coming from Windsor Park to you, but you're going to have interaction. So I'm going to take you through what that means, how it's going to work, and so we understand certain things. The Apostle touched on, he said there's presenters here, but there's also going to be a videos played where there's another presenter, and I'll introduce the presenter before she introduces herself on the video. And that is where the presentation part of today is going to come in. So my role will be here to facilitate it for those here in Windsor Park and for everyone else in the connected venues. So it's important when I share the instructions that everyone takes note of the instructions. So you can even nominate someone in every venue to make sure you listen extra carefully for the instructions, because I will repeat the instructions, but it's important that everyone understands what needs to be done in their congregations or where they're gathering, so that the same thing can take place as well. Okay, so I'm just giving a couple of things there. So let me go straight into the introduction and into the lesson preparation. So we know that tomorrow is the first lesson, okay? Depending, of course, if there is an apostle where the district apostle is, there won't be that congregation. But for most congregations, we can almost say 99%, there will be a lesson tomorrow. So that's the purpose, right? So that's the part. We're going to prepare for it. But we're not going to prepare only just as, for example, sitting here as individuals. We will also prepare in groups. So part of it is there will be videos. Okay, as I mentioned, there will be a presenter. The presenter will go through the video and explain to you about the lesson preparation required. Now, the apostle touched on and said, yes, the focus is on the curriculum around Sunday schools 1 to 4. However, pre-Sunday school, RI 1, 2, and confirmation 1 and 2, you are there to, or here to able to also engage around that. So maybe the items, the way it looks is different, but it's still the intention of you can still prepare with it, right? So it's still a guideline on how you prepare. And this is to prepare everyone for the future where all the curriculums will also change. So it's important for us to get that start now. The self and the group work. So in most cases where those of you connected, you will be able to go into groups. And I will explain to you how you'll go into groups. But for those that are online on their own, that could not meet at the congregation, at the venue, due to whatever reason, if you're at home or you're connected or at work, if you're on your own, then it means you'll do a self-preparation. Okay, so we're not going to create any breakout rooms, anything like that. There will not any groups online. It will only be groups in person in the different venues. Online, you will have to do the preparation on your own and you follow the same guidelines, right? The only thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have a discussion with yourself about one part, which I will guide you. How do you have this discussion with yourself, right? So you just need to be able to understand that there's an opportunity to reflect maybe in that moment. So when you're thinking about it, you can reflect. The discussion, that's important. So yes, we're going to prepare. We're going to go through a part. What we want to also ensure is that we want to share our thinking with each other. So in the groups that we're going to separate you in, you're going to be able to discuss, to say, there's going to be certain questions that you're going to discuss, a question per activity. And that will enable you to have a discussion so that we can embed what the lesson preparation is all about. Okay, so I'll go into each detail of that when we cover each activity. I think The image that I've put on the screen now is to give everyone an idea of the flow of how things will work today. There will be 3 activities. We'll talk about background information activity. We'll talk about teacher information, part 1 activity. And then we will talk about teacher instructions part 2 activity. So for each of that, we will watch a video. Okay, everyone watches the video, then the instructions I will provide you on what to do. You will start the self or group work, and then we'll have a group discussion. So there'll be certain times allocated. There will be a timer on the screen as well for everyone connected and here. And once that timer goes off, it will be a wake-up call. You will see why I say that. It will be a wake-up call for us to now move on either to the next part or to complete that activity. And we will do a quick summary of what took place. And then we'll move on to the next activity, which will go again, video instruction set. So that's the sequence, giving you an idea of what to expect, how it will flow. And if I say good afternoon anytime, then you know we're after 12, right? So I don't want to say good afternoon to anyone here, right? I'm only going to say good morning the whole day. That's my aim, to say good morning. And the apostle must be the one to say good afternoon and let us close. So keep me honest to that. But we also ask that you please understand that some of you are going to have deep conversations. You know, you're going to want to go deep and you might want to point out other things. The opportunity here is to prepare for tomorrow's lesson. And let us focus on tomorrow's lesson. If we're going to go into conversations about, you know, the books comes late, this is not always there, that's not the purpose of today's session. Today, it's about how do we prepare for the children for tomorrow and make sure that when we leave here, that we are not completely finished preparing, but we've done most of our preparation for tomorrow. So I think that's key for everyone. You are preparing here together and to make sure that we're on the same page with that. Okay, so I see the thumbs up, I see the emojis coming through. And I think from the eye contact here in Windsor Park, I think there's acknowledgement that we're on the same page. It's clear. Okay, happy. Fine, okay. So I think just again, there is a Q&A, as I mentioned, that just for those that's online, there is the platforms so that we all understand where we're going to go into and how we're going to work. If there is a district coordinator or apostle area coordinator, or if there is the congregation coordinator in the hybrid venues, if there's one person that can take responsibility in terms of, as I mentioned, the instructions that comes through, it will be on the screen, but just to take responsibility on how to organize it in the venues that you are at, right? The only reason, and I want to clarify up front, why we never provided all this information before the time was we weren't sure how many was going to join, and it changed a lot of things during the week. So there was not enough time to provide everyone with this is how it can work. So a lot of things, even up to last night, was decided this is how we should do the session further. So that's important, okay? So please understand the instructions are going to be simple enough for everyone to interact. You don't need any special equipment anywhere. You don't need anything different. The only thing is you brought along some of your preparation tools. Am I correct? If not, you can share in the areas that if you haven't brought it with, I've brought mine along with, and I'll come show as well. But the sister in the presentation will also then indicate what that is, right? So we will get through part of it. Okay, so I'm going to move on. And I think we're comfortable to go into, these are the tools I'm referring to. If you haven't brought it with, some of you might have it electronically accessible. That's fine as well. If you have it on MIS, you can also access some of it that's there. But no stress if you didn't, right? It doesn't mean, it means you maybe have to just use it later on to finalize your preparation, but also knowing going forward. So once you see in the presentation, on the video, it will be clear for you as well. I am conscious of time, right? Time's important because as much as it's a long session, it is quite hot in Windsor Park, and I think in Cape Town in general. This is actually a light blue shirt, but it's all the sweat that's making it look dark blue. So I think the idea is we want to not keep you here in a sense of dragging it on, because this is something you can still do at home afterwards. We want to give you the guidelines and to make sure that you understand, you know, this is the alignment on how we prepare for lessons. Okay, so key thing, I'm going to put it up on the screen. This is the lesson on the Sunday school schedule for 2025. And this is the lesson that you will be preparing today. Okay, so this is the lesson. So in the video, it's a different lesson, right? So don't focus on what the lesson is like, oh, we must go do that lesson tomorrow. It's not that. The video is sharing a different lesson to give an example. But this is the lesson that is on the Sunday school schedule for 2025 for the first lesson, which is tomorrow. If you are familiar with that already, then that's great. If not, please take note of this. Wherever you are in the different venues, you can take a screenshot now. You can take a photo on your phone if you need to, because you will receive the slides and the information after the presentation, but not now. So if you need to, even here in Windsor Park, if you want to take a photo, if you're not sure, if you're uncertain, please do that. The apostle area coordinators, if you take a photo, you can share it in your district WhatsApp groups as well. I just want to check in terms of sound. Is sound all good? Okay. As well. I know I'm checking only afterwards a bit, but I'm just seeing. Okay. I think that surprise emoji was sound is so good. They're surprised. Okay, so I'm going to go into the first. So this is now the first part. So remember, it's a video first. Then I'm going to give instructions. Then you're going to do self-work and group work, and I'll explain to you how we'll do that. And then we'll do a group discussion after that. Okay, so we're going into the first video. It's important now that we focus on this. This video is about 10 minutes long. Okay, so it's about a 10-minute video. So I'm mentally preparing you already, right, to be focused for 10 minutes into the video, what is being shared. And I'm going to ask that the sound technicians, Rudy and Walter, if you can just make sure that the sound is coming through clearly for the video when I started. Okay. Oh, maybe just one thing just to, so introducing the sisters, Sister Stephanie Claassen. She is the presenter. It will come up as well. She's the presenter in the video. That she's the Pastor Area Sunday School coordinator for the Gauteng Mpumalanga area. And she volunteered and was part of putting it together in terms of the video and sharing the lesson preparation. I believe that's when I chatted to her yesterday, she's in Secunda today, which is a part of Mpumalanga. So she's gone to one of her districts in her apostle area, and she will be, I would say, she is watching in, and she's going to watch herself now. Can you imagine that now? She's going to watch herself in this preparation video as well. So we thank again Sister Stephanie Claassen for her contributions to this, and we will see her throughout the presentation. So it's, as I mentioned, she's the presenter in terms of that information. Okay.
Good day and welcome, dear Sunday School coordinators and teachers. The title of today's lesson is Lesson Preparation of the New Sunday School Curriculum. So the purpose of today's session is to demonstrate how to prepare a Sunday school lesson based on the structure of the new Sunday school curriculum. Yes, it is new. So the lesson that we will be demonstrating is the famous Noah and the Ark, lesson 4 of Sunday School 1. So what are the tools that we will need to prepare the lesson? Let us take a look. First of all, it is the class schedule, and it confirms that it is in fact the correct lesson to be prepared as per the schedule. In this instance, it is Sunday School 1 class schedule. The next document is our Sunday School 1 teacher manual. This manual has got loads of wealth in it because it gives you all the lessons and the content which is based in your schedule. Our next book is the Come Lord Jesus Sunday School 1 student workbook. And this is the go-to of our children because they just dive into it and enjoy the new activities. Our Bible, we can't forget our Bible, but this is to familiarize yourself with the lesson's Bible text. The New Apostolic, wow, question and answer. Here we have two books of wealth that we have, and this is our catechism and the questions and answers if you need additional clarity regarding the lesson. But most important is for us to complete our lesson preparation document. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is a very important document for you to familiarize yourself with how to complete this specific document that we have. It is important that you know the context of the lesson before you dive into completing this specific document, because if you don't understand the context of the lesson, it will be difficult for you to complete it and to understand what is the core of this specific lesson. So, to ensure a very blessed experience, we will always commence with a prayer to ask our triune God for guidance and wisdom. Very important. The lessons familiarization process commences with you referring to the lesson and reading again and again through it. If you take the lesson, it's got to make sense to you. It's got to tell you a story. The lesson's objective must have and had an impact in you as a teacher. The teacher instructions in the document provide you with a great overview of the lesson. So you will always see that we have the background first of all, and then followed by the teacher instructions. This teacher instructions provide you with a great overview of the lesson. Next, we then refer to the Bible to read and understand the context of the text and how it relates to the lesson. This is followed up by reviewing the activity. Yes, you have to have an activity book, the workbook, to ensure that you understand it, because you're going to have to prepare the activity to assure that you present it to the children and provide them context in terms of how to complete it. When you look at your question and answer book, very important, as we said, that you would then have insight within the entire lesson. So once you feel that you have a good idea, then you can take your lesson preparation document and start the completion thereof. So with regard to the completion of the lesson preparation document, it has got quite a few benefits, dear teachers. First of all, you are structuring your lesson in a sequential manner. Also, you become more familiar with the content and the context of the lesson as you complete it. Because remember, this is your document and you're going to personalize it because you're going to prepare the lesson based on your document. You also are sure that you have covered the entire tape elements of the lesson. So, wow, now we're speaking about the tape elements. What does the tape elements mean? So speaking of the tape methodology, can you remember what it means? So let's recap. So the T, that stands for telling the story. So that's a theory of the lesson. And this refers to the content section of the lesson. Then we find the A, which is application. The application is explaining how we should apply it in our lives. Most important. So it's great for you to tell a good story, but most important is the real life application section of the lesson where you say, the story and the principles of the story, what does it mean and how do we apply it? Then we get to the P, and the P speaks to practicing. Now that is where our kiddies workbook comes in, and that is where it is all about the activity to reinforce and ensure that the children remember the meaning of the lesson. It reinforces what we have taught in class. So this refers to the activity section of the lesson. But last but not least, We have to do the old test, remember? And that is the evaluation. We are going to evaluate the understanding of our children and the meaning of the lesson. Did they understand the meaning of the lesson? Would they know how to apply it in real life? This happens normally at the end of the lesson, and you can do it in a fun way. You don't just have to ask questions. You can do it in the form of a puzzle. You can do it in a form where get them to ask the questions of what they have remembered, because they can only give back what they have remembered. So let us commence the completion of the lesson preparation document. This document is very important, and remember, you can customize it to suit your need, but the most specific elements need to be addressed. So there are different sections in the document in line with the tape theory. This brings the tape theory alive, dear sisters and brothers. What does it provide you? It provides you with a lesson background. It provides the content section. It also provides the lead-in section. Then followed by the real life application, very important that we have here. It also speaks to the activity section and then the question and answers. So can you see how does it go back to the tape theory? All right, so let us start with the population thereof, and that is where the secret of success lies, dear Sunday school teachers. Now, we are going to refer, once you've opened your manual and you go to Noah and the Ark, then you will find the actual lesson. And this is your lesson, which is Noah and the Ark. And you can see that it starts off with the background information. Now, the background information provides the title of the lesson, the message of the lesson, the learning objectives, as well as the Bible text. So these are binding elements. Now remember B for binding, that is one password. The binding means that we cannot change anything of this section, dear teachers. Very important. You have to present it as is. So let us quickly just double check. So the title provides us the name of the lesson. So we know it's about Noah and the ark. Then it goes to the message. When God prompts us to do something, we should do it. So what does it say? It says that that is a kernel and the crux of this specific lesson and the outcome. When our kids run out the door, they must be able to go home and say, Mommy, today we learned that if God tells us to do something, we must do it. And today, Mommy and Daddy, you represent God. So what you tell us to do, we've got to do it. Then the learning objectives speaks about the foundation of the Bible text. It also speaks about our faith, the doctrine of our faith. So it reinforces the message of the lesson. Then it follows by the Bible text, very important. And it is great if we sometimes give our kiddies a Bible. We don't have to read the text on our own. We can always ask them to read the text, because if they participate, it is reinforced and they will remember.
Okay, so I think that was quite informative in terms of the first part. I think linking to the tools required. Oops, a bit of a split background. Okay, so I think it's still giving an echo. Can I go? Okay, we'll just skip that part. You can all hear me still? Yeah, of course. Okay. There we go. I think that's much better, but it's now gone Is it gone off? Okay. So I think background information, as I mentioned, the tools required, and depending on, again, the different type of Sunday school curriculum that you're part of as a Sunday school teacher, you will obviously, for some of you, it's the first time that you're seeing this type of lesson plan preparation. What we want to encourage and mention that this is a guideline. Okay, so important, it's a guideline. You would notice that in the lesson preparation document, if you receive the document for today, you will notice that it repeats the questions of the background information. So it doesn't mean you have to complete everything over again, but this is for yourself when you are preparing to make sure what lesson is this that you're preparing, and it's guidelines. So if you're comfortable with what is in the teacher's manual and what is there, you can then maybe just make a note and say, do the activity that's there as an example. That could be your guideline. So it's not to say you need to rewrite completely everything, but it's there to help you to prepare so that it's not only about reading what is there, but it's like, what do you understand? So you're preparing and you're having this document to complete it while you're preparing with that. So that's why it's linking to the actual teacher's manual. That's important. You also, again, touch on, and Sister Stephanie touched on it, and she emphasized the binding elements. And that's important, right? That we cannot change. That needs to take place. That needs to be the message. That needs to be the Bible text. That needs to be the lesson. That has to be there. So that's important, that those binding elements is comfortably understood by you, and that is where you focus and you build the lesson around that. And the last thing I want to just mention before we go into the activity is that she touched on the TAPE methodology. And I think one of the things about the TAPE methodology, we might have other methodologies as well. So this was a guideline of giving a type of methodology that we can use. Doesn't mean we have to use only TAPE methodology. You might be using something else already. There might be something that you are using that's helping you to deliver the Sunday school lessons for many years. So you can also apply that, right? So we're giving the option of saying, this is the methodology that you can use, but if you have something already, please do feel free to continue using that as long as it's aligned to the lesson itself and it supports the outcome and the objectives of the lesson. So that's what you're focusing on in terms of preparation. We're not saying here that everyone needs to leave here and have an exact same copy of a lesson plan preparation for their lesson, even if you're doing it in the same Sunday school curriculum. All Sunday school 1 teachers can have a different lesson plan preparation in the way they come out of the lesson, but the binding elements remains in place. So now, to give you the guidelines around the activity. So the first thing we're going to do is it's self and group work, and I'm going to explain to you the groups, but we're going to just complete this, right? So we're going to get 5 minutes to complete this in groups or on your own if you're online and you're on your own and you're not at a venue, and you're going to be completing this. So you're going to go to the lesson and you're going to make sure that you're completing it, and you're going to be talking about, tomorrow's lesson, what this is, linked to this information, what the objectives as well. These are the steps that we're going to follow everywhere. So if you're in a hybrid venue, if you are connecting as a group, Sunday school curriculums can group together. But when I say group together, depending on the numbers, we want to have a maximum of 4 to 6 per group. Okay, so I'm giving an example. Sunday school 1, if there's 8 Sunday school 1 teachers in a venue, then you split up into 2 groups as Sunday school 1. But the 8 comes together and then they split. Okay, Sunday school 2, Sunday school 3, RI, confirmation 1. Does it make sense? So wherever you are, because we don't know the numbers where you are, you will come together. There's one of you, then it's self. There's only one Sunday school 1, Sunday school 4 teacher, and then you're on your own. Okay, then you will be doing prep on your own. But as far as possible, we want you to do it in groups wherever you are. So, and I'm going to use Windsor Park as an example. You will see on the wall, there is indication, and upstairs as well, and we'll indicate. So Sunday school 1 will be this part, half there, and Sunday school 2 will go there. I think it's Sunday school 3 and then Sunday school 4 in the middle, and then RI1, RI2, confirmation 1 on this side, upstairs, in the middle, confirmation 2, and then pre-Sunday school on the left, upstairs on that side. That's Windsor Park. If you're in your venues, that's not the way it must happen there by you. And I'm going to ask that the coordinators there, just wherever the congregations, and again, this is something we could not share before the time because we don't know the venues and all the details of how you are setting it up. But all we're asking is that you split the groups into the different Sunday school curriculums. Okay, so you split all the teachers up into the different Sunday school curriculums. I'll give you the green light when we do that. The last thing is it will be 5 minutes. Okay, I know we're excited to get to the discussion, but it will be 5 minutes to have a quick discussion around the group work, right? Around completing this. Then you'll get another 5 minutes, but I will indicate that 5 minutes so that you will hear the wake up call, and then I'll let everyone know, okay, now I want you to go into a group discussion. And the question, you can stay in that same groups, and the question that you need to answer or discuss rather is, why is the background information important? So have a discussion around, why is it important for us to have this background information? Why do we need to do it? You know, what's the purpose? What's the reason behind it? And that's the discussion that you will have with each other. So there will be a timer that will appear, and I think you can see it. So everyone will be able to see it, and it will have a sound when it goes off for the 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is, and I'm just going to check firstly here, are we comfortable with the instructions? Do I need to repeat it again? Or we comfortable we're going to split? We know that part. I'll give you the indication. And then online, I just need thumbs up if you are comfortable as well. I see it coming through. If there's any of raising of hands, please go via the pastor area coordinators or place it into the Q&A. Okay. So I'm going to only start the timer in 2 minutes. So to give everyone opportunity, because we don't know in the other venues where they have to all go to. Maybe they have to go outside, and I don't know what all is going to happen. But I'm going to give 2 minutes before we start the timer. So we can start now to move to our respective areas, and then I'll start the time and I'll give an indication of that. Okay, thank you. I either have to keep it there or keep it here. So I just decided too big. I'm not. They can't use it. No, they don't. They must. That's how they must use the tool. Also another gaps. Could you have a gap? Sunday school, order 1, order 2, a gap. Dumble Dusty, can you hear me? Okay. Can I ask? Sorry. Okay, so we're gonna go into. I just want to make sure for Windsor Park, Dumble District. Sorry, guys. We're gonna start soon. We want to get you into the right groups. What I need from you, please. I know it's excitement now to get to the conversations and the discussions, but I'm gonna ask you to please split into groups of 6, 4 to 6, as far as possible. So as much as you, because you're not gonna be able to talk 10, 15, wherever you are. So those that are in the hybrid venues, please make sure that you are in groups of maximum of 6. So wherever you are, make sure you're in a group of 6. If it's in the same row or if it's 2 rows together, just have a conversation with each other. Okay. Comfortable? I'm going to give about 30 seconds before I start. So those who are online, you can already, if you start the conversation, you can go already in the different hybrid venues here as well. But I'm only officially starting the timer at 10 past. So you can start. Okay, so we heard the alarm go off now. Okay, so we've heard it now. I think apologies for those that were in the other hybrid venues. You heard it twice, so that must have been a bit too much for you there. So now what we'll do is you've had that 5 minutes quickly background information. Now we're going to start the 5 minutes group discussion of why is background information important. Okay, so in your different groups, that's the discussion. You're also going to get 5 minutes to do that. Okay, so everyone's going to get 5 minutes and you're going to have that conversation. You can already start. And the timer for venues, yes, let's talk offline, but yes, you can if you need to, but you have to be back in 5 minutes. So you must just be aware of that. Okay, thank you.
Aan hulle kant op hier.
Ish. Okay. So I think, okay, we are good with time. Thank you, everyone. We can hear the conversations everywhere, the conversations, and I can talk about Windsor Park. And I'm sure if there's some emojis to give us a thumbs up if the conversations were going in the different areas. I know some have placed in the Q&A saying it's so little time, right? And I get that. But if we were here till 3 o'clock, then you say it's too much time. So you see how it's a fine balance of trying to get it within the time and then also that. So this is not to say today is the only time that you can do this. I think you can what you can look at this and say there's an opportunity. Should we not do this as a congregation? Should we not do this as a district? Perhaps come together and able to kind of let's have once a month. I'm not saying, but a quarter. Let's have some type of check in around our preparation and see where we are and see what's happening as well, because we will learn things as we move along. So thank you for that. I know it was short time. For the rest of the activities, it will be slightly increased from 5 to 10, right? So for that, because there's more information that you're going to have to discuss, there's more information that you have to cover. Unfortunately, because of our large numbers, and I'm saying that we can't ask now for comments and for everyone to tell. I would love to say, please tell us, well, how was the conversation? How was this for you? And I also don't want to be unfair and say, look, Windsor Park, you can only talk and no one else can talk. And, you know, so in terms of the congregation, the district of Durbanville is here. So I want to just, based on briefly what I've heard, but also based on what the key things here. I think part of it, and to summarize this section, is that we realize that this is so crucial before you can go further into your lesson preparation. And as much as it's always written there, it's really, do we understand it? I think the Sister Claassen mentioned that also in the session, in the presentation about the video, to say that this is critical, this is important. And that's why we focused only on this for this part, so that we know when we prepare, if we don't understand the background information, if we don't understand what the message is, what the objectives are, what is required from us, then it's difficult to then prepare further for the lesson. And more importantly, it's difficult to deliver the lesson to the audience, which is our children. So we have to simplify things, as we know that already. That's a given. I think the Sister Lucille Peterson touched on that beautifully early on this morning around how we have to think about our soft skills and what we are doing. Now you combine the soft skills, you combine it with the content, and you combine it with your passion for what you are doing. And I think that's the recipe that we're trying to say that will make it a success. And ultimately, we understand the objective is beyond only what we are as individuals. And your cupboard is full of this book, and all the different colors that it also came in. And I think what we see is that we're always trying to evolve over time. And I think that's important to understand, that we might have prepared lessons in a certain way at that time. It doesn't mean we must continue only that way. That the new way is not trying to change you. Your passion, the way you show up, that's still there. But we are trying to obviously engage with the children in a different way and ensure that teachers understand these are the guidelines provided so that you are able to connect with them as well. So a lot of this comes from the Chief Apostle's Office, the information that we are receiving. And so there's studies, there's research, there's investment into it. And so it's not something taken lightly, right? So there's importance for us to understand that when we receive this information, that it's not just, if you get it from your apostle area coordinator, from your district coordinator or congregation coordinator, it's not they decided this. It actually comes from a department and areas that have actually put in effort to make sure that we're giving the basics right for Sunday school teachers across the board. Okay, so that's important to understand. And of course, you are, like I said, you will show up in the way you do show up as well. So we are at a good point in time to have a break. I think it's much needed for everyone. We've had a good start of the morning. We're doing well for time so far. I will still say good morning, it seems, for the rest of the session. So I'll keep on saying good morning. But we're going to take a break, and we're going to take a 15-minute break. But because you've been, and I'm saying here in Windsor Park and online, because online you have been so quiet the whole session, because you can't talk, because you're muted. But because you have been so quiet, I'll give you extra 3 minutes. So we will be back at 1:45. Okay, 10:45. We will start back at 10:45. Enjoy the break wherever you are. Thank you. Okay, so confirming, just with those that are back, we are back now. If you can confirm, you can hear us from the congregation, thumbs up. Okay, we think it's coming through. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we've done now obviously the first part. So I mentioned that there's going to be another 2 parts, right? So there's another teacher instructions. And so again, a similar flow. I think here in the Windsor Park congregation where the Durbanville district is gathering, you've already gone back to your groups, which is good. I think it will save us time. And I will encourage also in the other hybrid venues that you go back to the groups that you were in, where you were seated now, so that you can continue. And I would encourage you to remain in that position till the end of the session, okay? Till we come to the final recap, and then I'll give you a minute or 2 for everyone just to come down to do part of the final recap. Okay, so that's just part of the plan. So as mentioned, so we're going to go to the next video. So I'm going to jump straight in, right? So we're going to go into the video, we're going to do the teacher instructions, and then I will give the instructions and the guidelines afterwards as well.
This is followed by the teacher instructions for implementing the lesson. So this is always my go-to page because it provides me a great overview of the lesson. So I read through it and say, okay, what is the lead in? What are the lesson instructions? The discussion points, the real life application, the activities. So once I've read through it in my mind, I'm already starting to formulate my lesson. So you would read through and familiarize yourself with the different elements of the lesson. And this section provides the overview of the lesson and its related tools. So we're now going to move on to the lead in section. I haven't forgotten about the contents. I'll get back to you. So the lead in section actually introduces the topic of our lesson. It must be done vibrantly and excitingly for the children, and they must look forward to the lesson. So we need to read through it and familiarize ourselves with it. We will then summarize it and record it in the lessons lead in section. So that is the reason why we went to the lead in section. Because if you look at the lesson preparation document, once you've completed the title, the lesson number, the message, the objective, and the Bible text, then your next part is your lead in section. Now, the lead in section is recommended. Remember earlier on we spoke about the binding where we said that the background part is binding, we can't change. But now the leading section, that is recommended. So you can either use what is in the lesson here, or you can then also provide your own lead in as long as it's creative and it is exciting. Let me give you an example. Here in this specific lesson, you will see that they speak about the ships, and it says there are different types of ships with different purposes. In the lesson today, we are going to learn how God asked one man to build an ark, a different type of ship that was going to carry very special cargo. Now, I am not always going to use that as an introduction because it says that we can do very exciting stuff that we can say. I would go in and I will say, the animals went in 2 by 2, the big giraffe and the kangaroo. So that immediately, because they must have heard somewhere that the animals went in 2 by 2 into the ark, then automatically, or if they didn't know anything about it, they would say, what is this lesson all about? So if you go to the lead in, you will always find that at the very last paragraph, it will inform you with regard to what the lead in really tells us what it's all about. So, for example, if you will see the very last paragraph here said, tell them that in the lesson today, they are going to learn how God asked one man to build an ark that was going to carry a very special cargo. So now you know. So you can either use this or you can use what you would know the children will find exciting. We're now going to get to the true awesome part of the lesson, and that is the contents part. So if this is our contents part here, let's read through the lesson to start making our own notes. These notes will be our guide when we are presenting the lesson in class. Do not write the contents, all the contents. Just make bullet points. Remember, we said this is your document. So why must you go and rewrite the lesson if you have it at hand? You've got to then write down what makes sense to you in terms of bullet points. But importantly, what you need to note, my dear teachers, is that there are numbers within the lesson. So they are not there because there was a mistake that was made. They are there for a specific purpose. They are the guides which indicates the end of a specific thought or the end of a specific message. Where no numbers exist, the end of the paragraphs indicates the end of a specific thought or message. So in this instance of this lesson, there are numbers 1, numbers 2, and numbers 3. So you will therefore complete your notes under contents topics, which is content topic number 1, content topic number 2, and then content topic number 3. So not all the lessons will only have up to 3 topics. Should there be a number 4, then you can make space here to put content number 4. And should there be even a content number 5, then you can make space for it. Remember, once again, it is your document to customize. So each topic has 2 sections to record your notes relevant to that topic. So why do we say 2 sections? We are saying 2 sections because you might have a lot of bullets that you want to write. So you won't always complete both of them depending on the quantity and the number of information that appears in your lesson. So, as you can see, it's topic number 1, topic number 2, and 3. So we've read the section and we'll record and populate it and record that long time after Adam and Eve, there were many people on earth. People were very sinful and God was not happy. So God saw that what the people were doing was wicked. So the above is background to the lesson. Right. So you would then title it as background to the lesson, and then you will then move on. And you're going to go to the opposite part of the lesson, and then you're going to record that Noah, he honored and loved God, him, his wife, and his 3 sons. So their names were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So it's nice information. So you can record it also here in your document. So Noah and his family, they lived a life that pleased God. And the above is an introduction to Noah. So we then title it as such. So can you see it says leading an introduction to the lesson. So you can use it 100% the way it makes sense to you. Very important, we need to follow the same procedure and complete our shorthand notes in the content topic, number 2 and number 3, as per the lesson goes. So once again, let us just recap. We will read through the lesson. We will then go to our preparation sheet. We will then find content one space and we will summarize everything up until content one. Now remember, you're not just going to get information from the lesson. You will also receive information from, you read the Bible, you read the catechism, there were questions and answers. So that will then form part of the information that you will record on your lesson preparation document that we have. So you would complete the entire section, you would read it, and then you will then complete it.
Okay. So I think again, we've got it clear in terms of the instructions and the part, and we focused on there. And I think the sister Stephanie elaborated a bit more, right, in terms of what you can do. Now and I'm saying to the RIs as well, and the confirmation in the pre-Sunday school, where you won't be able to find it in the material. It's again, how do you apply this to your lesson? So how do you use that as a guideline to your lesson for the future to be ready when it actually does come through in terms of how we'll prepare for the new curriculums. So I know it might be like it's a bit of a mismatch at the moment with for those specifically Sunday school curriculums, but the idea is that you just try to see as a guideline, how do you apply it? And then Sunday schools 1 to 4, of course, you can see the complete picture when you're using your actual lesson with the actual preparation document as well. So we're going to go into
This is followed by
the activity. So again, the focus here will be on the lead in and the introduction of the lesson plan document and then the content. So that's all you're going to have to focus on in this. Again, this is the same guidelines, again, to stay in the groups that you're in. So this is just to repeat on that. And then you will have a group discussion. The question here is, what is the purpose of the lead in and content, right? After that. So you're going to have 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes to do the self or the group work, right? So for those that are doing it on their own, it's self. For those in the groups, in the hybrid venues, it's a group work. And you're going to have 10 minutes. I'll put the timer up again. And then you're going to have a 5 to 10 minute conversation afterwards as well on that question. Okay, comfortable? Okay. I'll start the timer now, and then I'll mute on the side as well. I'll give a couple of seconds for the areas online just to get into the groups if they maybe went back to the normal seating. I'll give you about 30 seconds. Okay, so thank you. I think we can hear the conversations here in Windsor Park, and I'm sure in the different hybrid venues, there will probably be also a buzz going on. And I think the time it kind of throws you off, it kind of loses your momentum in your conversations. I want to allow the conversation to continue. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to continue your conversation, but to focus on this question. So what is the purpose of the leading and the content? And have a focus on that conversation. And then we will go into our last part two after that, right? Just summarize the section and move on into that. Remember, we're trying to do a snapshot here quickly in terms of lesson preparation. Unfortunately, we can't spend all the time on this, but I think we're very encouraged, and I'm saying from here, being in the audience here, the energy, and I think we can assume as well by the thumbs up, and that the energy is also happening in the other hybrid venues as well. So take the 5 minutes and then I'll check in after that. So there won't be a timer for this 5 minutes, but for now, I'll let you know. So I won't make the noise. I will just let you know when there is that time. Okay, cool. Your 5 minutes starts now. Okay, so we are back. We and we can hear the conversations have been going. I think I want to bring us back again to where we are. We'll chat again. We'll have an opportunity. So I think what's important now that we're wrapping up, and I know those that are online and the hybrid venues there as well, is that the importance and the purpose of covering these two parts is it plays again another part. So as you can see, we're building up. We're taking it from the one part and we're saying, here's the background information, but now lead in the introduction to the lesson is key for the actual lesson. And then you're going to focus on the content. So that part has to then have this symmetry of linking with each other. So you have to feel that, okay, it's moving from the one, and the child will also feel that we're moving from one part to the next part. So it's a story that we're telling as we're going on. So we're going to go into the next and the final part of the instructions, right? The teacher instructions is part 2. It will be again a video clip as the same process. I think we're now all familiar. Online, hybrid, wherever you are, you know the process now that we're going to follow. And then I'll give you the instructions just on that. Similar instructions, but just obviously what's the difference.
So, dear teachers, once the entire story and contents have been completed, we then move on to the lesson instructions. So, that is a new section within the new Sunday school curriculum. But what is its purpose? The pure purpose of the instructions are to substantiate and provide more content and context to the specific story that we have here. So, sometimes they say you've got a Donald in the duck and you've got partners. So the content numbers works hand in glove with the instructions that we have. So should you find the number 1 in the content, so you will then find a corresponding number in the instructions. They work hand in glove. So you need to summarize the message in the instructions in your instruction block. So once again, we go to your planning document and your template. And in this document, you will see where it says content 1, and then it's got lesson instruction 1. So once again, in your instructions, you've got to look for the relevant number that you had in content 1 to the number in instruction 1. So teachers, once the entire story or contents have been completed, then we move on to the lesson instructions. Now, let's just focus again on our lesson, and this lesson you find in the teacher's manual. So this is new, very important. In the past, we only told the story from the content part, but these instructions provide extra meat because it relates to the lesson in the content, and it will just clarify and substantiate all the topics that were covered within the content. Very important. So, number 1 of the content relates to number 1 of the lesson instructions. So you will find in the lesson instruction section, there is also a number 1. Remember, in the content, we spoke about numbers 1, 2, and 3, and you have recorded the topics number 1, 2, and 3. Now we move on to the lesson instructions, and it just provides more meat and more insight to the corresponding contents per the number that we have in the content. So you need to summarize the message in the instructions, in the instruction block below the relevant content topic column in the template. Let's go there so that we must now get the puzzle to fall into place. So dear teachers, in this instance, we will refer to content topic 1 which we have already completed. And just below it, there is space for lesson instruction 1. So let us refer back to the teacher's manual and the lesson itself in the instruction part, and you will go and find the corresponding one. You will then refer to the section that says, tell them that the Bible says the people at that time were corrupt, they were dishonest and violent, and then you continue telling the story. Can you see what the connection is? So then we move on. You can then discuss that with the children and say, are the people corrupt and violent today? And if they are, is God happy about it? In the same way, we will complete the lesson with instructions number 2 and instruction number 3. What matters most is that our children are taught how to apply the principles covered in this lesson in their day-to-day lives. And the instruction part supports that specific principle. Remember, the instructions are mandatory. So what does that mean? It means that you've got to address it. So you can't just tell the story and not refer to the instructions. We have to cover the instructions. And to summarize, once again, what would you record here? You would record the last paragraph. And the last paragraph where it says, tell them that. If you look at number 2 of the instructions, it also says, tell them that in ancient times, the length was measured in cubits, and a cubit was the length from someone's elbow to the end of their fingertips. Very interesting information. So can you see, we can't ignore the instruction part of the lesson. That is followed by the real life application section. So that's also new, but that is so amazing because remember the tape theory, the A for application, where does it come from? It comes from the real life application. So you have to read through the real life application section in the lesson and ensure that you understand the context thereof. Look especially for words that says, explain that, or tell them that text. So let's record the following. Noah listened and followed God's instructions. What would have happened if Noah did not build the ark according to God's instructions? So, although it may not have been easy for Noah to obey God, he followed God's instructions and God saved him. So here comes the diamond. So too, God will save us if we follow God's instructions and live a godly, good life. The lesson will not be complete if there is no activity. The purpose of the activity is to enhance the retention of learning so that our children may remember what the lesson was all about and how to apply it in their lives. They will retain 75 to 95% of what they were taught if you ensure that you apply that activity. But make it fun, make it awesome so that they can remember it, but they must participate in this lesson. Let's refer to the activity in the workbook. Where is the workbook? There we go. And ensure that you have prepared the tools for the activity. Now, you would find out which tools to use if you refer to the lesson itself. Always ensure that the children are all excited to complete the activity. assist where required. Do not make them struggle to complete the activity, because then, these children, they just give up. So you've got to be part of it and make it exciting for them. So this lessons activity is about completing the coloring page. You therefore have to complete it in your lesson preparation document. What activity have you assigned? So now that the activity has been completed, we need to assess how much our children have remembered about the lesson. That is it, because those spiritual nuggets comes in the remembrance of the lesson and the principles thereof. So there are two benefits to the questions that will be asked. And these benefits are, number one, that we will identify what was remembered. We will also know what to revise quickly again before the children leave. Because if you find that they haven't remembered some of the principles, we will then recap it before they leave. We must also ensure that the real life application message has been concretized. In this instance, it would be, remember, God was unhappy because the people were disobedient. He therefore went to Noah, because Noah and his family, they were very obedient and they were very godly, and therefore God favored them. So the message have got to be that if mom and dad is unhappy because we disobedient, that there won't be favor on us. So we must rather let mom and dad be happy with us because we do the right things. Can you see how does the application work? We've got to concretize it to make it practical in today's day and age. So dear teachers,
Okay, so I think Sister Stephanie gave a good explanation on that part in terms of the real life application, in terms of the lesson instructions, and then of course going into the activity. Now, we're going to have the conversation, we're going to do the group work, but what I want to do differently is you're not going to have enough time to complete everything. Right? I think we understand we're not going to have enough time. So what we're going to do in the conversation and in the group work is we're going to identify what we should look at and prepare further later on. So when it comes to the first part of a lesson instruction, you can have a discussion and say, what do we think is important for our Sunday school 1, 2, 3, 4, RI1, RI2, confirmation 1 or 2, and pre-Sunday school? What's important that we need to, so write that down. When it comes to the activity, I think it's aligning on the activity. Some of the activities, there's cutouts. So it's preparation. How do we prepare maybe differently for this type of activity? So you rather share with each other what you can do for the activity, for the real life application, and then you complete it then afterwards, later today, perhaps, to finalize your preparation for tomorrow. Right? So we're not going to be able to complete it all year because from a time perspective, it won't be possible. So going back to the instructions, this is what you're going to have to discuss. This is what you're going to have to highlight and focus on, but you're not going to complete it here. I want to repeat that. You're not going to complete it wherever you are, but you're going to be going in and just highlighting the key things. And then the same process with the steps. I'm not going to have to repeat this because I think we are well into the steps of who needs to be where. And then I'll give you again 5 minutes to have a conversation. So why are these elements now important? Right? Why are they important to be prepared on? So thinking back, when you focus on the background information early on, when you focus on the lead in and the introduction, when you focused on the content, now you start to add this on. And then I want you to think a bit about how can we see and talk to each other about, now we see the full picture of a Sunday school lesson, of a lesson for RI, of a lesson for confirmation and for pre-Sunday school. Now we can see the elements that is there. As much as it's not in your workbooks for those that's in confirmation and RI and pre-Sunday school, it's still important to understand the objective of the lesson and how we go about doing that as well. So I'm going to give you the 10 minutes to have that conversation. I'll get the timer to start. I'll give probably 30 seconds for everyone just to settle in, and then we'll start, and then I'll give you the 5 minutes as well to have your close-up conversation. Okay, happy? Online, we happy as well. Some thumbs up from the different areas to confirm. Okay. Okay, I think it's coming through. Okay, great. Clear for everyone. Let's go.
Lessons